Hey there, Laker fans. Welcome to another episode of Lakers Detailed. I'm your host, Vinay, with my co host, Raj. Raj, the Lakers season is finally underway. We got our first preseason game, Lakers versus Suns, in Palm Springs. You were there in person to witness the start of this season. No Luca, no LeBron, no Marcus Smart, no Gabe Vincent. A couple other guys. I think Adu wasn't suited up to play. We knew in advance that they weren't going to be able to play. Uh, but we got a nice look, early look, first look at some of the new Lakers that have joined the roster. DeAndre Ayton obviously starting. Jake LaRavia immediately starts in this preseason game with so many guys out. And we got a nice first look at it. But before we get into that, how are you doing, my friend? How was the experience going in and covering them on the road?
Yeah, very cool. Very different experience. Never been on the road with the Laker team. Did the trek out to Palm Springs, which
Yes.
did not realize, like, even just an hour and a half away, just a completely different climate, completely different weather. I got to my car around midnight, and Vinay, my car was shaking from the wind. Like, it's how strong the winds were at night. And at this is, I think, a new arena, if I have that correctly. It's a hockey arena, but the walk is like way too long around to get from where they have you exit to where your car is parked. But in any case, very cool. Be on the road. A bunch of Laker fans, which I'm sure were there to see Luka Doncic because he
Yeah.
got ruled out pretty
Yeah.
late from there. But a very packed arena. I mean, absolute packed house. Palm Springs came through with an amazing crowd. They were not rewarded with a really great game, but we got some cool performances we'll get into. So no, it was cool to be on the road with the team and hopefully to be at a few more. How's your week?
My week was good. I was locked in last night. We did the playback with the Detailers Club. Well, anybody who would want to join. We had some of the friends from the No Narratives Pod show up too as well. That was kind of cool for them to jump in. The Detailers Club, some of the folks are there too as well. It was a lot of fun. Doing the playbacks is a lot of fun because we get to just kind of enjoy the game without all the noise and all the stuff around it. I had the timeline up on the side on the second screen as I was watching the game. And as expected, we'll discuss this because this is actually a question that we got from the Detailers Club that I definitely have a rant about. But it was a lot of fun. It was fun watching the timeline go through their emotions on the players, the guys that have come in, and then just also watching the game at the same time.
Yeah,
Raj, you're working the beat, bro. Like you're hitting the road for at least the local area and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I do want to shout out the fact that you are in the building. This is not something that's casual. This is something that you're doing full bore,
yeah.
and you always have my support of everybody around you on that endeavor. Before we jump into the actual observations, um, I want to point out that you asked JJ a question yesterday, a basketball question yesterday, and the one thing I liked about it, you asked Jake Larabia also a basketball question yesterday. I just want to say I really enjoy the fact that you get good answers from them, and when you get good answers from somebody in like these kind of, in my experience, in these sort of things, when somebody wants to give you more than what you asked for, that usually means they like that question. And I've
Hmm.
noticed, Raj, that more and more as you ask these questions to JJ and the opportunities you get to players, as you ask them these basketball questions, and it's not to put them on the spot or like anything to trap them into a situation that, hey, you said this 3 weeks ago. What happened now? Like, it's not one of those things. You're just asking them what's happening in the basketball. You seem to keep getting really great answers. And what I'm noticing, Raj, is a lot of the Laker fans in the fan base appreciate getting some of those answers because eventually they get sort of, we get the answers to the questions that we ask on the timeline, like, why are we running this play so much? Why are we not running plays for Dalton, which is a point of conversation that we're probably going to have. So I appreciate that, and I hope you continue doing that. And I don't know if you get DMs from other folks about that, but you and I talk all the time. You should continue doing it because it's great for our fan base in terms of us getting great insight as to what we're actually trying to do versus what we think is trying to happen.
That's the goal. I feel like try to just bring how we see the game, how I see the game, how you see the game, how other people see the game to these media rooms and asking these film questions, because I think the other stuff does get covered and there's room for that. Obviously, there's a place for it. There's definitely a market for it, but I do feel like there's a market for this type of coverage one that our coach built an empire on, a media empire
Yes.
on, before he jumped into the actual coaching world. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to bring that in the room as well. Not that it wasn't there at all, but I do feel like sometimes it leans one way. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
when his eyes light up, when JJ's eyes light up at a basketball question, I was like, oh, he loved this question. He really wants to hear what the answer is to this. So I want to hear the answer. So it's really great to do that. So continue doing the good work on behalf of the fan base too, as well as for yourself. So let's get into it, Raj. The Lakers get whooped bad. It's totally okay that we got whooped. Not a big deal that we got beat. It's preseason. All the stars gone. The timeline was in pure panic, saying it's all over, burn it down. We're never going to win a championship, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But we know that's just kind of the reactionary nature of NBA fans, especially on Twitter nowadays. Where do you want to start? Who do you want to talk about first? Because the main topic of conversation last night on the timeline was DeAndre Ayton. So if you want, we can start there. But I'm going to let you choose. Where do you want to start? Who do you want to talk about? Because we got a good look at a few guys.
So I thought JJ actually said something interesting when he answered my question, and I think it got kind of lost in there a little bit. Didn't go as viral as the other stuff that he was talking about, but Vinay, he said the team needs to be reprogrammed because of how they played last year into going to this year. And I think that connects obviously to DeAndre Ayton, but I find that extremely interesting. They said the team needs to be reprogrammed to basically, not in a mean way, but learn how to forget playing with Jackson Hayes and now learn how to play with DeAndre Ayton. That's a rim scorer, a post presence. And interesting because half the year they played with Anthony Davis, right? It was also, I would say, this type of style. But I just thought his framing of it was interesting. But let's start there. DeAndre Ayton, I think we're going to get into the good stuff for sure. But I mean, 2 points is what it is. I think there's a level of aggression he's going to have. Something that stood out to me, Vinay, this is the first thing I want to kind of kick to you. And I don't know if you noticed this as well. This is tougher to notice on film, but I noticed this a lot more in person. Got a little tired on the playing defense. And I'm just curious how that plays out. DeAndre Ayton has a huge defensive ask on this team as an offensive one. But I find that interesting. So his play from you, putting in the reprogramming for the team, did you feel like this was a passiveness or this is just DeAndre Ayton making the right reads? Or was that the level of aggression you liked from DeAndre Ayton from his first game?
Yeah, honestly, yesterday night on the offensive end, it felt like he was just kind of going with the flow of the game. To me, it didn't look like he was. He looked like he was playing with a guy who was trying to figure out where he's supposed to get his spots. And when I say where he's supposed to get his spots, it's more like like, are they going to pass it to me? Like when I screen and roll, is the play call for that? Do I need to post up? Are there set calls for me to post up, or are we just doing conditioning? Because you could argue that some of the stuff that was going on the court was just that. And so a lot of folks were talking about his scoring or lack of scoring yesterday. He only attempted two shots. Like, so it's not like, so like that in itself sort of tells me like, and granted, he did get stripped twice, I think, trying to go to the rim, which, he did the cardinal sin for big men, which is bring the ball low to the ground. Yeah. That makes it easy to strip. So that, it is what it is. That is what happened. But he wasn't really aggressively looking for his shot. But at the same time, he didn't look like he was aggressively looking for a shot. And so that was one of the themes on my timeline. Like in the first quarter, there was already the usual suspects like, oh, DeAndre Ayton sucks. And I was just like, are we watching the same game? Because in the first quarter or in that first shift, he must have ran pick and roll. And this is a little bit to what you were talking about, the reprogramming thing that you're talking about. The Lakers last night with Austin and DeAndre, and I imagine this is going to happen with Luka and DeAndre, they ran more pick and roll in like that game last night than I feel like I've seen all season. Like I can't remember, like outside of maybe when like LeBron got hurt and like the Russ years when it was like Russ and Anthony Davis and they just kept running pick and roll over and over again in the games that LeBron didn't play. But like this is the most pick and roll I've seen the Lakers run that didn't involve like, it being a late game situation and it's like LeBron and Anthony Davis running it together. I think that requires a lot of reps for a center. When you're a new center, that probably that hasn't played with Austin Reeves, doesn't know how he likes to pass the ball, doesn't know, Austin doesn't know what angles Ayton likes to catch the ball. They don't have that dance, that tango that we always talk about.
Yeah,
They
chemistry.
haven't figured out the dance partner thing for him. I think that's what you see happen. But the stuff Ayton did on the other side, Raj, it looked great, dude. Like we've been missing the defense and the rebounding and challenging shots. So
Yeah,
mixed bag for sure, but I'm not too worried about his offense.
yeah. We'll get into the defense in a second. I think it magnified how important he is, right? I think when he does have a lack of aggression, for the lack of a better term, I do think it's magnified on the team, and I think he's very important. You mentioned how many pick and rolls we ran. I'm with you. I don't think that changes when Luka Doncic dresses up. I don't think that changes when LeBron James comes up. Our offense is going to be very heavy. DeAndre Ayton screening for whoever has the basketball. As much as I'd like some other screening stuff to be, to arrive here, but I think Ayton's a big part of our offense. And some of these, I know that he dropped some passes as well. I thought we'll get into Austin as well. I thought Austin's passing was superb in that game. I thought he really carried their team. But yeah, I just find it interesting. Some of the catches, Ayton has the S word put on him. Vinay, soft is a term that a lot of people like to throw on him. Obviously, I'm not calling him soft, but I do think there's finesse bigs do have trouble with physical wings, right? That are able to kind of get into you. Phoenix has kind of a host of these. Dylan Brooks is this type of player. They also fronted the post a lot, which we weren't able to capitalize on. Again, some of this is just timing stuff that they'll figure out. But yeah, it is a mixed bag for sure offensively. I'm just super interested because he's a guy that's going to be fed a lot. And I think there's just a ton of opportunities for him to where he needs to score and capitalize on. But I'm with you. I thought there were a lot of, just going on the good side of it, I thought he hit a lot of weak side passes. I thought his rolls opened up a lot of shots. Put it nicely, it was a lot of Bronny and Dalton minutes, which, I understand it's preseason. It's just it turned the game very much to a one that not sure how serious some of the lineups were that we're going to see in the regular season. But yeah, I think Ayton and Austin built a little bit of chemistry. I would have liked him to take more than 2 shots, but if he's coming in saying, I don't care about scoring, I'm just going to be rebounding and blocking shots, it's an interesting trade-off that they're going to have to go with. But let's go on the other side defensively. What did you see from him?
Before we do that, what did you think of did you see what he said after the game where they asked him about like his performance and stuff like that? Naturally, the people are just going to point out whatever some reporters will just go with whatever the first negative thing is that they can ask. And they were like, there's basically a question about just kind of, him having sort of a subpar offensive game. And Ayton's response was like, no, I'm just trying to do what they want me to do. And he actually said it really nicely. He said, look, we have Luka, LeBron, and we have Austin. Like those guys are the playmakers. Like he said very openly, he said, some nights I might get 2 shots. Some nights I may get a lot of shots. It just depends on what they see happening. And I'm just here to help them, help the team do in every way he can. So he took it. It didn't seem like the response was not genuine. Like if he's upset about not getting touches, I didn't see it in that response. Now on the court, there was definitely times where he ran to the rim and then he Phoenix did exactly what you said, which is they tried to front the post and he set up the backside lob, but Austin just either didn't see it or wasn't able to throw it, or whoever had the ball at the time wasn't comfortable throwing that pass to him. I feel like with Luka and LeBron, those are going to be easy passes that are going to turn to layups for him, or alley-oops for him. But what did you take away? What did you make of that? Did you get that same feeling? Like he was frustrated he didn't get shots? Because I didn't get that feeling. It seemed like he's just like, no, I'm figuring it out as we go.
I didn't get that feeling at all. And I think it's a large ask. We again, I'm not comparing Ayton and Anthony Davis, but he's the closest comp that I can get to that was on the team, right? 80 had a massive defensive shoulder, like burden to shoulder. I think watching last night, I think Marcus Smart 100% helps, but Ayton's going to have a large defensive, burden on his shoulder. And it's tough to be also the hub of an offense. Not easy. And that's something that I saw him get a little bit gassed doing it last night. Obviously, the conditioning might not all the way be there. But I'm with you. If that's his approach, now I still think we need a 15-10 type of Ayton this season. Yeah, probably floor-wise. Like that's, I think, necessary for us to go anywhere. And look, Ayton can say all he wants. He's not taking 2 shots in a game that matters. That's just not. That's not happening.
8 rebounds, 2 blocks in 17 minutes.
17 minutes, yeah.
Pretty good.
Played in a lot of lineups again with subpar talent versus. I thought the Suns came in with a very serious
Yeah.
approach. I
Dude,
don't know
they were
one.
pressing us from the start of the game. They were playing a full court press with Brian Dunn. I think he was pressing Austin or something like that. I was just like, all right, game one preseason, we're full
I
court pressing.
I was
But I mean, it is what it is. Maybe that they want to be that kind of team this season.
Yeah, which is, I think that's actually a really nice approach. I was talking to someone in the media row. I was like, I don't think I saw one Suns lineup that I don't think would play in the regular season. Like, I
Yeah.
think they had all the units, even their young guy, Kalamak, I believe the number 10 out of Duke.
Malawak, yeah.
Malawak, yeah. Even he's a guy that's going to play, and so he was in the rotation. But yeah, I'm with you on the kind of. I didn't feel like Aiton was pounding or was refusing to shoot or felt any
Mhm.
type of way. I thought they actually gave him the ball a good amount of times. Phoenix did a good job tagging on the roll. I thought they were very prepared.
Mhm.
They were playing off Vando like I expect teams to do. They had that scouted. And JJ mentioned that they're ahead of schedule than us. They've been in the gym. All their guys have been in the gym all of September.
Mhm.
I think because they have to go on the road and travel. But I'm with you on that on the offensive end. I'm not too worried right now. But again, 2 shots is 2 shots, and there's a level of aggression that Ain's going to need to go
Yeah.
the regular season.
Yeah. Now on the other side, Aiton's
Mhm.
defense was great for me personally. There were a lot of situations. I would say that in the second quarter, there was a stretch of basketball where they spammed pick and roll for Devin Booker, and I thought Aiton. I shared some of the highlights. I posted some of the highlights, defensive highlights that he had. He challenged a couple of shots to make the driving the ball handler that was driving to attack the rim have to take a tougher angle in the shot that ended up missing. And then he also just had some really great plays where he just straight up blocked a player, blocked whatever the shot was. The most impressive one to me was the block that he had off the Gortat screen. There was a play
Mhm.
where I think Austin or somebody gets screened, and then his screener continues down to basically Gortat's screen. DeAndre sheds that screen very quickly, and I think it was Devin Booker, or it might have been Grayson Allen. Goes for a layup, and he just comes out of the blue and just blocks it. There was a highlight that I think was shared of him blowing up an alley oop play, running back on defense and blowing up an
Mhm.
alley oop play too as well. I thought his defense was great. I think his length is, again, like, not to say that Jackson Hayes didn't do a good job, but it is very clear that his length affects people who have the ball, guys who want to attack the rim as opposed to taking the jump shot. It affects those guys much more in a way that we haven't had since we probably had like a guy like JaVale McGee or a guy like Dwight Howard. What did you see from them on the defensive side?
I thought in the role that he was in, I thought he did his job, right? I think they
Mhm.
had him in the drop coverage role a ton, which I would expect to see in the regular season. Thought he protected the rim pretty well. I thought his effort was pretty strong, at least on that end, covering for guys, running through screens, kind of helping the helper, erasing stuff, mistakes on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I thought he played his role. The starting lineup was a little weird. It was pretty much an all wing starting lineup next to Laravia, I guess, can kind of go back and forth from a guard. There were some issues where I think Devin Booker got hot because, again, you have Rui Hachimura chasing around Devin Booker and Aiton in the drop coverage. So some of that is interesting to me. But Vinay, something I noticed, I think he can move his feet a little better than I
Oh yeah.
expected. I feel like he can shift, do some defensive
Yeah.
slides in a way that he's not really, it's not really shown or he's known for.
Yeah.
That's something I'd like to kind of play with, not make him a full switching type of big, but be interested to see if they can kind of have him a little bit more aggressive on screens rather than sit in the paint. Because again, I thought Devin Booker got a little too comfortable. Even for
Yeah.
preseason standards, he was coming off and just shooting whatever he wanted. So, but no, I'm with you. That Aiden had a strong kind of defensive effort, obviously kind of overshadowed by the offensive stuff to the general public. But I thought defense was fine. I thought he blocked shots. Again, he rebounded well. And that's the
Yep.
sell, right? He's a good rebounder. He's gonna box out. He's always been a good volume rebounder.
Yeah.
That's something I expect from him. But yeah, the defense was solid. I'm concerned the style of defense we can play is pretty narrow
Yeah.
with the starting lineup that we have. So Aiden's gonna have a lot of responsibilities cleaning up and stuff like that. But
So one thing I will say, I think your observation about his feet being good is accurate. If you rewatch the plays, so I rewatched the game and I
mhm,
rewatched all of the shots that were taken inside of the paint
mhm,
because I was cutting tape for it. And so one of the things I did notice is it didn't seem like there was an explicit call out for what his defensive coverage was supposed to be against the pick and roll, right? So you have hedging, you have drop coverage, you have playing all the way up to the
yeah,
ball handler, and then you have like the deliberate switching. it didn't seem like the Lakers specifically made a play call. It seemed like they kind of let him figure out what was going to work for him. So there was a lot of times where he wouldn't be in a full hedge. He wouldn't be in a full switch. He also wasn't in a full drop. So he was like kind of doing that dance the same way pick and roll has a dance on the offensive end. There's a defensive dance that happens too as well. And I thought for a couple of plays, like he would kind of step up to that free throw line area that Devin Booker likes to pull up from to slow down Booker enough to make him think a little bit about that shot or whether to make that pass. And then he'd eventually retreat. And I think there was like maybe three pick and roll possessions in a row where Booker missed every single jump shot. And it's part of the reason for that is they would run that high screen and roll. Like, so he'd had like Ryan Dunn or somebody come out and screen, and he would set that screen higher for Devin Booker, but Devin wouldn't take the three. He would come down to the free throw line, and Ayton was kind of like dancing with him to try and see if, test whether he'd jump or not, or to take the jump shot or not. And then he'd retreat back as soon as he knew that his teammate Ayton, Austin or Vando, whoever it was, could come back to challenge a shot. And it led to a couple of misses. Now, is that going to always happen? No, because Devin Booker's a world-class shooter. He's going to eventually get hot at some point. But again, this is something that like you have a guy who organically, because he's always played this position, he's had to play in these kind of defensive sequences a lot with good teammates, with not good teammates, right? He's played DeAndre Ayton has run this defense with Josh Okogie as his teammate, as a defensive guy who's a good defensive guy. And he's also running with Chris Paul, who is not at an advanced age, who's not that defensive guy. So you have a guy who has experience that maybe JJ Redick can trust and be like, look, I trust him to make the right kind of decision off of this. If not, then we can help him out. So I thought that was great, honestly, Rod. Yeah. And I think it's just good. I think he can build on this for sure.
Yeah, and he played with a lot of young feisty defenders in Portland who had a really good defense as well last year. Not saying Ayton was kind of the leader of that brigade, but I think like he at least was part of it and did his job. And I think that's what the Lakers are asking kind of him, where the offense can be so overbearing and have the defense kind of hold up enough. I really like though the Vando Ayton defensive combo. I thought that was interesting. I like Laravia as well. Vinay, we did so much switching last year, and we argued and complained about it a long time on here. But I actually really liked Laravia giving back pressure on Devin Booker. I like Vando giving back pressure and just not giving up a switch. A lot of times last year, we just let our centers die. Let Devin Booker play one-on-one with whoever we were playing the five with, and let them kind of choose their matchups. Now, this will be interesting when Luka kind of obviously comes into the fray. I think they did a good job last night of chasing over, not allowing that, and kind of countering to how teams guard Ayton, because Ayton's a guy that teams are going to be dropped back against. And I thought we had some nice counters to that as well, open up shots, and it opens up the playbook. Renee. I just thought Ayton kind of showed the kind of versatility you can have in your playbook when you have a guy that you trust to catch in the paint and hit a hook shot, hit a floater, all this type of stuff. He had a nice up and under lefty layup that he missed. It was one of the two that he missed, but I thought that was good. Really nice offense. And I think stuff that he's just an automatic guy when he touches in the paint. Those are his numbers. He shoots like 60% on shots outside the restricted area. So,
can I add one more thing? Yeah. One more thing before we move on to Ayton. Or move on from Ayton. His screening, like you see Austin get his game off last night. Ayton was delivering some great screens. I know this is like sacrilege to talk about the value of screening in NBA, but like I need people to understand that like the reason why Devin Booker looks so good coming off of those screens and can take these it gets in rhythm for these free throw shots is because he gets really great screening. He gets great screens from Richards, from Richards, from Ryan Dunn, all these different guys. Iguodaro is the other guy, or Iguodara. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing his last name wrong. But he does a fantastic job. Again, they ran, if you rewatch the game, they must have ran pick and roll like out of the first 25 possessions of the game, 30 possessions of the game. I feel like they ran 20 possessions of pick and roll where Ayton was the screener for Austin. And again, all 20 of those are quality screens that allows Austin enough room from the guy that's being screened, because Suns have really great defenders too as well. And it gives him the opportunity to have time to make a read. That doesn't happen if he doesn't get a quality screen. And again, it is not a rewarding thing to do in the NBA. To take charges is not rewarding. To do verticality contests, we're going to talk about Jackson, and that is not rewarding. It's a punishment on your body, and to screen, no matter how big you are, it is a punishment on your body. And a lot of big men don't like doing that, and that's why they slip screens so much and don't deliver quality screens. Ayton did it on command every single time. We love to see that because
Yeah.
that gives you a something that you can rely on going in to every game. Like, yo, if nothing's working, come run pick and roll with me. I know I'll get a good screen, and we'll find a way to get a better shot. So
Yeah.
I just want to shout that out because we haven't had that in a long time, and we really need to be a modern NBA offense.
And you got to feed your big. Once if he gets contact on that and he rolls and he has the advantageous matchup, you got to feed him the basketball. And I thought they did a okay job with that. JJ mentioned how they're still kind of working on that, but yeah, if he's got a nice mismatch, he's got a smaller guy on him like Royce O'Neal or something like that, you got to throw him the basketball and let him kind of work a little bit. And he's efficient enough in the post to do that. But I'm with you. I thought the screening was pretty good. I thought there's some timing stuff they're still trying to work out.
Yes.
You know, it's a really nice kind of dance that you got to do from the guard and the big. Yes. Ayton has 3 guys he's got to learn that with, right? He's got 3 dudes that run a ton of pick and roll. People, I love that. You know, this might transition to where we're going, but a lot of people are like, well, you know, Austin's only doing that because Luka and LeBron aren't playing. Oh no, oh no, yes. that is not the case at all. I think this is
Austin's not going to catch a bad defender now anymore. Like he's not. No team is going to put a bad defender on Austin. Just be like, yeah, you can just defend him. Like he can't get by you. Like Austin is on people's scouting reports. This guy will get by you if you're not serious and you're not a good defender. So he's going to have to call for screens sometimes because he's going to get a really good defender on him. And teams aren't going to let him do what he wants to do with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's go there. We don't have to go do too much, I think, because we both know how good Austin is. But anything you saw that jumped out? First preseason game.
Yes,
Austin very much took a leadership role. Very much today. I know it's my team tonight.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna make sure everyone knows that. And so I thought he came out ferocious, attacked the rim, looked awesome on his kind of skip passes. But what'd you see from Austin?
Yeah, I think the confidence is super high. I think his ability to absorb some of the physicality was really good to see. He probably did a little bit of over dribbling, I think, maybe last night with some of the stuff he was doing. But I saw him take screens full speed. I saw him also reject screens like he does. He's really good at taking the screen and rejecting it in the opposite direction. He had some really nice finishes, Raj. He had a nice lefty finish over the top. The first stretch of pick and roll that he ran with DeAndre Ayton, it seemed like he was looking to set the tone. Like, I'm going to go score every time and, get us started on that front so nobody feels pressured that they have to score. And I think the second stretch that he ran with Ayton, I think the coaching staff probably told him, okay, now you got to slow down a little bit and try and find Ayton on these rolls, which is why you saw Ayton get the ball more the second stretch of pick and rolls that he had to run with Austin. So I'm happy with what I saw both ways. I'm happy that he was aggressive going the first way because that's what I want to see. I'm not shocked that he was able to produce with a better screener next to him, a guy who isn't constantly slipping. But I think Austin probably does have to be reminded sometimes, hey, you've got a guy who can really finish too, so you don't have to force it every time. And I don't think he was forcing it, but just sometimes you've got to wait. Austin's not in that situation sometimes where he's waiting for the guy to come. And if DeAndre has to set the screen over at half court, you got to give him a chance to get back. And as DeAndre's conditioning gets better, maybe that'll be the case. But I thought Austin was great last night.
Yeah, he's in that interesting place, Vinay, where he's obviously jumped his scoring averages every year.
Yeah.
But this is the jump that turns you from like he's got 18, he's got 21 to, he's got 28 tonight. He's got 35 tomorrow. He's got 20. It's very consistent and he gets to the line enough to do it. Just interesting to see how that obviously works next to Luka and LeBron. But a few things I thought he put emphasis on: a lot faster with the basketball, a lot more emphasis on pushing the pace. He had some passes I thought that just weren't in his bag before, a couple in and out, weak side pass, driving into 5 defenders, hitting the opposite corner. The passing reads look a little bit better, a little bit faster. I think he put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. I think it was reported or something this summer.
He worked on his strength training for sure. I think
yeah.
What he worked on,
yeah. So look, I feel like at least in person, it felt like you can kind of notice a little bit more strength on his body. But the Austin was exactly what we expect. I expect a big year from him. And we'll see how that again works when the two other guys come back. But it doesn't look like Austin's giving up any shots or anything like that this season. Doesn't feel like there's any stepping back and playing this tertiary role. That does not feel like what's about to happen this season. And I think they need that. So we'll see how it looks. But I thought Austin looked just mid-season for him.
Yeah, he didn't take that many threes. I'm trying to think. Like,
few off the dribble, off of Ayton's screen, but
yeah,
not very much.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe because Luka wasn't there and LeBron weren't there, and Luka obviously would take the lion's share of.
Sure.
He'd have the lion's share of what's it called? He'd have the lion's share of pick and roll action that he'd probably run. Austin's probably the secondary guy on the wing, on that cross-court pass wing for him. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, he didn't do too many of those possessions where he took the screen and he just immediately took the three, even if the big was in like drop coverage. It seemed like he wanted to take it down to the free throw line, take it to the rim. So I think that's a good sign, because that always sets a tone for your level of aggression and what people have to respect. And then if you score a couple times at the rim, now they're backing up and you can walk right into that three. So I thought it looked really, really good. I don't really have any, I'm trying to think of bad stuff to say about Austin. I can't really think of anything bad. At least from that game, I can't think of anything bad.
I can't think of anything either. And again, that game was so out of hand, so early in strange places. It's tough to evaluate anything. It just felt like Austin was on turbo. The only thing I would ask, and I guess take from this, what do you think of that starting lineup as a second unit type situation? Kind of Austin getting. I thought it was interesting to see, because again, I don't know how many times we'll get to see this, Vinay, but we got to see Austin kind of man his own unit.
Yeah.
And I think both of us are very clear. Austin's not coming off the bench. It's not even something to discuss.
At this point, I don't know. People shouldn't even I don't know why it's not going to happen. It's just not.
It's not happening. It shouldn't happen. But I kind of like seeing Austin have his own unit. And it was kind of interesting to watch him next to LaRavia, Rui, Vando, and Ayton. It's an interesting skill set. And I thought it kind of helped him as well. All those you have another super defender in there in Vando, who we can kind of talk about. Ayton's very much a release valve for Austin, right? Can kind of get him the ball when he's in tight spaces. And Rui and LaRavia are just knockdown shooters on the outside who cut and move without the basketball. I thought it was interesting to see Austin in the full, I'm having the ball. I'm deciding where the ball goes every single play down, and you guys all work off of me. I thought that was interesting to see. But what do you think of that starting lineup? I guess we don't have to get into all the guys in that starting lineup.
Yeah,
what do you think of that
I think that. Yeah, I think that lineup he needs to build some better synergy with Ayton. If the primary offense out of that lineup is going to be, we talked about this when we did the lineups episode, the type of lineups we would like to see. I think you and I both mentioned that we'd like to see a lineup, or I'd mentioned that I'd like to see a lineup that was strictly a 2-man game, where it'd be like Luka and Ayton, and then three, one guy, a Marcus Smart type, Vando, and then I think Rui or something like that is the last guy. So this is pretty close to what that lineup was that we described, except obviously Austin's the other pair with Ayton, and they played LaRavia because Smart and Gabe Vincent weren't available.
Sure.
But if this is the style of lineup they want to run, the 2-man pick and roll lineup, I think you have to have really, really good synergy between those two. The whoever the ball handler is that's going to run this 2-man game with Ayton, you have to have really great synergy. I like the idea of the lineup. Because you get one low post ISO guy in Rui, you get the pick and roll action with Ayton and Austin, but my concern is Ayton is at the mercy of Austin in these situations. So if you need he has to really, really be involved. He has to be good at involving everybody. And so if the point of the lineup, because of the matchup that we're playing that night, is Austin, just go get yours because the guy can't guard you, then that's fine. If it's working, it's working. Nobody's going to complain about it. But if you get something like you did yesterday with Phoenix, where, Austin's really the only one who can score, we have to find ways to facilitate, obviously. So theoretically, I like the idea. I think it's a nice balance. Yeah. That lineup had balance to it. I like Vando as a point of attack guy. We can go to him next. But I like the balance of offensive guys and defensive guys in that lineup.
Yeah, it's just, again, because Ayton's going to be obviously the main pick and roll guy, but he can only screen for one guy at a time, right? Ayton can't screen for Austin and Luka at the same time. So I'm not saying to split those two apart all the time. It's nice to have Austin having a unit where he can kind of play with the best big man and run pick and roll with him and get some rhythm in a second unit that struggled the last few seasons. And I think again this year, Vinay, it just feels you go down our roster and our second unit scoring is very much in question. It's like Gabe, Marcus Smart, who he might start, he might not. But in any case, interesting kind of think about the second unit scoring. But speaking of second unit, Jared Vanderbilt came in, looked like 2023 Vanderbilt, at least the way he was moving. The shooting was what we expect from Jared Vanderbilt, but I thought the defense was exactly what we've needed. I am not yet ready to plaster him into my minutes rotation permanently, but just because of health wise. But Jared Vanderbilt, Vinay, is back. Looks like the healthiest Jared Vanderbilt that we've seen. Now we've seen many times him come back and run for a few games and come out with some strange injury that keeps him out. But for now, at least, he looked like Jared Vanderbilt old. What did you see from him? Just in the first preseason game.
Yeah, I think the defense is great. I'm really happy that he feels healthy enough to be like his disruptive self. I thought we saw that last night on a lot of possessions. His defense is disruptive enough where you have to come and screen him. Like that's the part that's really good about it. It kind of takes you out of, if you're like a team that normally doesn't use screens for your primary ball handler, and your primary ball handler is like the guy who initiates all your offense for you, Jared kind of mucks that up. He forces you to have to use a screen to get him off of whatever action is that you want to. And he'll pick up guys. He's our ball pressure guy. I think JJ said it. Him and Marcus Smart are going to be the guys that pressure the ball coming up to slow down the pace of the game. I do have one issue though. Okay, I'm not going to talk about his shooting because you and I have that running joke where when a guy posts so much about working on something in the offseason, there's a good chance that the exact opposite's going to happen in the regular season. So him posting all the videos about him shooting and stuff like that, I was just like, we'll see how it works. Like you kind of are who you are at this point. But defensively, I thought he was good. I thought he did a really nice job rebounding in traffic. He was doing that thing where he was diving on loose balls and all that sort of stuff. The jump shots didn't look good. Naturally, Twitter only wanted to focus on that, just like they focus on the low stuff for DeAndre too as well. I want to ask you a question, Raj, because this is a concern of mine that I have. I don't know if he knows how to turn his motor off and pick his spots. And I'm worried that he's going to get hurt because he doesn't know how to turn it off. And he's an extremely good defender, in my opinion. He's a very disruptive defender. And you could slice up defenders in different ways. I've seen guys like Drew Holiday. I've seen guys like Dyson Daniels. I've seen who's another defender that comes to mind? Wing defender. I'll say even Herb Jones. They have different levels of disruptiveness, but I think what makes them really good, Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels, Drew, is that they really pick and choose when they want to be disruptive. They're not always trying to be disruptive. And I think that's part of the reason why, to some degree, they're able to stay healthy. They're able to stay out of foul trouble. They don't find themselves in situations where, they're on the ground and they get hurt or somebody lands on them or they eat a bad screen, like a really bad screen, and they're on the floor. They get buried on the screen because they're really, really attentive to the times where they have to, you don't have to be, I appreciate it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a great quality to have a high defensive motor. But I feel like sometimes he doesn't know when to turn it off or to turn it down. And so if he's trying to create a steal every possession, there's a good chance it's not going to happen. And he might get hurt just because he's being over aggressive, collisions, that sort of thing. Do you see that? Does that make sense what I'm describing with Vando?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. And I think part of the reason why you just named three guys who play 30 plus minutes a night, right? And you just can't have the offensive utility of Jared Vanderbilt and play 30 plus minutes a night. You just can't. You just can't be that bad offensively. So I think he has to resort to, and I feel like Vando wasn't always this type of player. I mean, I remember watching him with Minnesota, in Utah, a very useful offensive player. I mean, and a really good cutter, had some floaters to his game. I remember we got him. There were some obviously Lamar Odom's not a fair comp, but there was a little bit of this. He has kind of all these tools, you know, in his at his disposal, and that's really gone with the injuries. And so now his role is really like going there for 10 minutes and muck shit up, right? And just mess it up and run around. And I think he's also taken to heart being the team's, you know, guy that causes issues and stirs up trouble.
Yeah, the enforcer, the goon.
The enforcer, yes, the
he's trying to be the
enforcer
goon,
role.
yeah.
And I think Vando's kind of has a skill level defensively that's past that, right? Like he can be more than just the enforcer. That's usually, it's not a negative connotation, but that's usually reserved for players who kind of don't really have much, like they're kind of just going in there and being tough and doing things like that. So yeah, I feel like sometimes he does a little bit too much of that, but I do think I'm with you. I think he's a very useful guy, and I'd like to see him kind of control that defensive motor in some case, to where he doesn't have to be diving on the loose floor for, you know, in the first quarter kind of thing. But that's kind of his contribution to the team. So I kind of understand it from his perspective going, this is how I play, right? Like, how am I going to get minutes? I'm going to have to run around and just cause havoc for 3 to 5 minutes and see if I can impact the game. And he did. But the offense stuff, Vinay, is still concerning to me. I thought that teams would bait him, and they did. We saw some drives to the rim that were absolutely wild, some crazy floating shots at the basket. I believe he missed both his free throws, if I have that correctly, if I remember that live. Had a really tough outside jump shot. And we don't really have a small ball look right now. I mean, unless Vando's at center. So he's playing a lot of 4 next to a center that can't shoot. And so the floor is shrunk. And that's one of my concerns. But defensively, I thought he was as advertised, and that's what the team needs.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm trying to measure him based on what we want to use him for. Like, so I think this is one of the things that I think has become a problem within the Laker fan base and some of the other Laker content creators that put stuff on the timeline. Like, there's a big emphasis on like making fun of the guys on our team for the things that they're not able to do and never have really been known for. You know what I mean? Like, so like people who dunk on that, it's fair because Vando posts about him improving, working on his jump shot and stuff like that. So I understand why people do it. But it's just like for like 4 years now or 3 years, however long he's been here, like I don't know why we're still dunking on Vando for his offensive ability. Like, he's not a guy who's going to ever have a jump shot like that. Like, you don't magically get one at whatever age that he's at right now. So it's like when people complain about it, it's just like, I just rolled my eyes because I was just like, what are you guys expecting? Like, this is not going to happen. And we've done this with other players too as well. So I think what's better is for us to focus on, is he doing the thing that we need him to do, which is he being a really, really great defensive player? Is he hustling? Is he being disruptive? That sort of thing. And so, like, every player has a flaw to some degree.
Sure.
And Vando is no different. Obviously, his flaws are a little more loud compared to some of the other players. So I like what I saw out of him. I like the fact that he was working hard to get over screens. The Suns had to send a lot of different types of screens on Vando in order for it to free him off of Devin Booker. So like when Iguodala was throwing some of the screens for that stretch where Devin Booker was basically shooting the ball constantly, like he would have to send north-south screens, 45 screens, east-west screens. Like he was having step-up screens, whatever they're called. Like he was having to mix up his screens because he didn't want Vando to get comfortable with how to slip that screen. And they were setting that screen so high up, like towards the half-court line, that I'm sure Vando probably couldn't even hear DeAndre call the screen out because it was so far away. So like when you're having to force teams to do stuff like that, I think that's always a good thing. So that's kind of typically the way I look at it. But for what you expected out of him, what you expected to see out of Vando, did he have a good game last night?
I think so. I think expecting offensive output from Jared Vanderbilt would be, outside of reality. If he could shoot 40% from 3, it's like that's not happening. I would say there's a baseline level of offensive, like you need to get to be playable, especially in high leverage situations, right? And so I think that's a fair critique to go. If you're going to be on the floor, you got to be able to cut and finish open layups or semi-open layups, right? If you're cutting to the rim, you can't be a 50-45% free throw shooter. Like these are the type of stuff
Yes.
that's baseline stuff. Am I expecting Bano to go out and hit 40% from three? No, that'd be ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I think there's fair to expect some level of output, and I think that's the disappointing thing is there's a regression that's come, and I think that's why he gets a lot of the blunt of the kind of criticism is because there's an image there of a player that
Mhm.
was very exciting, that was super promising. Is the reason he got a 4-year deal from the Lakers that has kind of deteriorated because of the injuries that he's gone. But just in reality, this is exactly what the team needs. We both believe this team has an excessive amount of offensive
Players. Yeah.
firepower, at least in the starting lineup, and that's where you can try and balance some defensive personnel within it. Will the floor be shrunk a little bit? I think it will. I think it makes
Yes.
things a little interesting. Vando, Ayton, and LeBron, especially all guys that teams are gonna. I know LeBron shot 40% from three. I understand that, but he's a guy that teams I think are still gonna, shrink the paint on Luka and Austin when they have the basketball. So
Yeah.
something just to put on him. But right now, that's so far beyond the goalpost. Like right now, it's just can we get Vando to play 10 straight games
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm
and
with you. Yeah. Can you stay
20
healthy?
minutes in
That
those?
sort of thing.
That's what it
Um,
is with him.
I will say this. The one other thing I was sort of schematically I would like is he doesn't need to be at the wings. Like they had him at the both all the threes they took. I think maybe other than
Extended
maybe a
wing.
corner thing. Yeah, he was at the extended wing, and I was just like, he needs to be down in the corner, so then that way he can slip that baseline cut for a layup or something like that. If somebody goes to rotate from the strong side, weak side. So that was one of the things I was just like, I think we might have put him in the wrong position, or it might have been there was no like actual like there's no structure to it. They were just kind of running down the floor. So like him taking some of those threes, I'm glad I mean, look, he took them with confidence. It's not like he hesitated
He
about
did.
taking them. So I'm not going to complain about that. But he definitely shouldn't be at that part of like that should be Rui or Laravia or Dalton. That shouldn't be Vando in that spot. Vando should be one spot down. And again, it's preseason, so I'm not thinking much of it. But I would
Sure.
imagine he won't be in that spot. Like he's not going to be the guy in that wing spot for that.
Yeah. I'm guessing he'll play a lot next to Jackson just because they'll both be coming off the bench. But
Mhm.
I'd like to see him play with Ayton. Again, I like that starting unit as an
Mhm.
overall, obviously not completely as starters, but I like that as a unit build where Vando's really the only Vinay non-scoring player out there, right? He's the only player that's not out there for scoring or as a big time scorer. And so the other guys, Austin, Laravia, Rui, Ayton, all are scorers. Like all can take shots off the dribble, get to the rim kind of thing. And Vando gets to kind of create havoc and find his place on the floor. Hopefully as an offensive rebounder. I'm with you. Was standing on the wing, wasn't really crashing the glass. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
that's kind of told to him to kind of chill on that in the preseason. You know what I mean? Jumping into
Could be.
bodies
Yeah.
in the preseason, although he dove on the floor, I think 3 times.
Yeah.
Which
Loose
every
balls.
time, every time, like, man, Vando, it's first quarter of
That's
preseason.
not saying like let's just pick our spots here, buddy. It's a preseason. I appreciate it, but
Yeah.
let's just pick our spots here when
Yeah.
it comes to it.
But then we got one more new guy. We got
Yes.
really good look at Jake Laravia.
Yes.
Uh, just before I let you kind of get into his description that you saw in film, a guy in person that's a lot bigger than you'd expect. I mean, just was not expecting that. He's a full 6'7", 6'7.5", I might even dare say.
Yeah.
Just looked like a very, a player with a lot of size. On the wing, he told me he thinks he's a really good defender. I thought he had some spurts where he lost guys in terms of the
Hmm.
foot speed battle, but I liked him in our general scheme. I like him as an over the top chaser. Gives a
Hmm.
lot of pressure on the back because he has nice like wingspan to kind of bother guys. Offensively, it's tough to gauge because he's a guy that lives off the playmakers, right, and the team
Yeah.
around him. But what'd you see? First impression, Jake Laravia.
Yeah. I mean, watching him defensively, I thought he had a nice motor to his game, defensive motor to his game. There was a couple of plays where he got screened and he just didn't give up on the screen, even though there was a lot of separation. It would be Jackson or DeAndre try to freeze the ball handler or just kind of stymie the ball handler as much as they possibly could. And Jake got right back into the play, put himself back in position. I think there's 2 baseline plays in the first quarter where Devin Booker was trying to get to like this baseline jumper. One of them, Jake defended really well. Actually, both of them, Jake defended really well. I think Booker missed one, and then the second one, Booker hit a tough shot. But I mean, again, Booker's a tough shot maker. So that's just one of the things that's going to happen. I like the motor on him, Raj. I like that he doesn't give up on plays. I also agree with you. Watching him on television, he's a big dude. He
Yeah,
does not look like a 6. I thought originally he's like slightly taller, like slightly bigger than Austin. And then I saw him defending Booker on a couple of possessions, and I was just like, oh no, he's like bigger. He's for sure bigger than some of these other guys. And so I think that's really good in terms of like the lineups that he's going to be in potentially that you and I have thought about. He's going to add size to those lineups. Like even yesterday's lineup, Vando, Austin, Laravia, Rui, Aiton. That was a big lineup.
massive unit.
That was a big unit. And so I think he's just going to add to that. Again, he's a new guy to a new team. So like Aiton, I think he's trying to find his spots, trying to figure out, where is it that he has to be aggressive? Where is it that he's just supposed to play his role? I thought he was just trying to play his role last night. I think he was the recipient of a couple of those cross-court passes or the skip passes from Austin out of the pick and roll, but he didn't take the 3. I think he did take 1, but
1 or 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2. But I thought there was probably some opportunities for him to be more aggressive with the ball off the catch that I like to see him do on the offensive end. But again, I'm expecting a feel out period for these guys because they have to feel out exactly where it is that their number is supposed to be called. And I know he's capable of scoring the basketball too, as well. So I like what I saw, dude. I like the fact that he got his nose right in the game. Aiton was doing such a good job rebounding, and Hayes, we're probably not gonna have enough time for Hayes, but maybe we'll spend a few minutes on Hayes. They were doing such a good job with their single man box out that Phoenix started sending additional bodies to help go see if they can snag some offensive rebounds. And Laravia just went right into it. Like all of a sudden he was starting to crash the glass with these guys. So again, when a guy organically and naturally has the inclination to do stuff like that, that's good for the Lakers. That means that you don't have to coach it. They know because that's what they're trying to do.
100%. I think it's interesting. At least just watching again, it's one game. I'm not gonna take everything from it. But I just went on the LFR show, and me and Mike were kind of debating Rui starting versus Smart starting, and that's kind of been the main starting lineup battle. But I'd be interested to see if Laravia has a shot at that 6'7" guy. I think him being a legit 6'7" kind of makes this conversation very interesting, right?
Yes.
I think he's a better defender than Rui is. Now we'll see what Marcus Smart is when he's healthy. I think that'll decide a lot. But I'd be interested to see if Laravia is a guy that comes in. You talk about this a lot, Vinay, but a guy that doesn't need touches to produce, right? Very much a guy that just plays off of other players. I think I had a stat like 90% of his attempts come from 3 or the rim. So doesn't color outside the lines very much. But I think it's a very good thing for a team that has the playmakers they do. Very much knows his role, attacks closeouts, very much experienced in that role of standing on the outside and waiting for the basketball and creating off of the advantage created. So be interesting to see. I like Laravia a lot. I love the first impression that I saw from him. We'll see what he does as the games continue. I think, again, he'll get better as the playmakers rise and the teams they play on. That's kind of my only larger point from preseason. I was a little bit not disappointed, but I was hoping to see a little bit more lineups that will play. I think, you know what I mean? Like this in the regular season, a lot of it felt like mixing in players that probably won't be playing in the regular season. And that's due to obviously us have 5 people out, right? We have Smart, LeBron, and Luka all out. Gabe Vincent also out in regular season, rotation guy, Maxi Kleber, who's hurt somehow already after being fully healthy the whole summer. So we'll see what happens with him. But it's a fun first game, man. We got another one tomorrow in the Bay.
Yes, another game tomorrow in the Bay. I don't think Luka is playing that game either. I don't know if LeBron has been ruled out. I would imagine he's probably ruled out, but maybe we'll see Gabe. Maybe we'll see Marcus Smart. But again, I would expect probably the same guys, more than likely. That is probably who we're going to see for that Warriors game. I'm going to coin a term, Raj, that we'll use. I think we can use for Lakers Detailed moving forward. Detailers Club and the folks that watch it, you're welcome to use it too as well. Just use it responsibly. I'm going to call Jake Laravia a low-high player. Low touch, high impact. So the Lakers have their foundation of scoring. They have LeBron, they have Luca, they have Austin, and they also have Ayton on the nights that they had to call for him. Everybody else in this lineup has to be a low high in the rotation, has to be a low high player. It has to be a guy who is low touch, high impact, whether that's knocking down open threes, whether that's rebounding the basketball, whether that's playing defense. You have to have high impact while having low touches, meaning you won't get the ball unless it gets passed to you off of whatever the primary, secondary action is. I think Rui in the playoffs last year was a good low high player because he wasn't getting the ball very much, but he delivered majority of the time. Dorian Finney-Smith, another guy who was like that. We need guys like that. I'm hoping Jake LaRavia turns into a guy like that for the Lakers. I think DeAndre Ayton can certainly be a low high player for sure. Jackson Hayes, we didn't talk about him too much. He put on some weight in the offseason, Raj. He looked great. He looked great. He boomed Devin Booker
Yeah.
on an alley-oop. But he looked great, dude. There was a couple of verticality contests that he had, which last year 100% he would have gotten a foul call on because he kind of jumps at the guy when he tries to defend it because he said he's trying to absorb the collision. But this time he was able to just absorb it and not lose his legs on doing it because I think he's a little bit stronger. He looked good. And I think slotting him down one spot while having the familiarity of a full season of basketball is going to be helpful because honestly, right, there were some times where they looked more comfortable running pick and roll with Jackson than maybe they did with DeAndre. But that, again, it's a testament to the reps and the experience that you have with him. So any like quick thoughts on him?
On Jackson? Yeah, I mean, I kind of know what Jackson is, and I think the weight gain will help. I think also being back relegated to a bench role helps, right? I think being able to play just this athletic style. I think he has more defensive utility than sometimes he's used. I think he's a little bit more athletic, can move his feet, a little bit more of a switchable defender. But Jackson Hayes as your backup center, I mean, I think that's totally fine.
That's great.
Good team, at least in the regular season. We'll see. Obviously, a lot of trust was lost once the playoffs began with Jackson last season. But you're right. Looked like it's very visible, at least in person. You could see a lot of the weight gain. A guy who has an insane catch radius. That's extremely helpful for a bunch of playmakers who just want to throw the ball up when they're in a tight spot, and Jackson can go get it type of, alley-oop guy. And I thought Jackson was Jackson. I know exactly what he is. One of the players I kind of penciled down what he's going to bring. You're right. The verticality was a little bit better. We'll see how that works in the regular season.
Yeah, for sure.
Magnet. But again, I think Jackson as your backup is a fine center. I'd be interested to see how that goes as the season goes on. My guy Koloko also got in, got some minutes.
He did.
Another guy that I would want to slow down a little bit when he comes in. You could tell just a lot of energy has been kind of percolating, and so he comes in, and I don't know if you remember Vinay, but he walks in and immediately draws an offensive foul because it's like it's just
again like that's the point I'm making. Like the DeAndre thing, he runs like 15 pick and rolls in a row, doesn't get called for a single offensive foul on the screen. It's like, bro, do you understand how that important it is for the Lakers? Because last year we were doing that with like Jackson, Koloko, and Trey Jamison. And those guys would each get at least one offensive foul doing that. I think Jackson got an offensive foul yesterday throwing a screen. And I was just like, oh my God, can we run a pick and roll without it being a 50-50 chance of us getting hit for an offensive foul on the screen? So it's just like, I think that's just going to help in the long run. That consistency is going to help to some degree. But I didn't mean to interrupt you on your thoughts.
No, you're good. Last guy I want to ask you about, because you were kind of high on him. So I'm kind of interested what you saw. It was tough to gauge, but Nick Smith Jr., anything stand out from you?
I like that kid, dude. We rescued him from the Charlotte Hornets.
That's a good way to put it.
Two-way spot.
Saved him.
I like him, Raj. I liked him when he was playing at Arkansas, if I remember correctly. He was one of those guys that was, I think, supposed to play under Calipari, and Calipari went to Arkansas, and now he's in Arkansas. I think that's what it was. He got drafted to Charlotte. Charlotte always does this thing where Charlotte always said they're really good at drafting centers and they're really good at drafting guards, but they don't do anything to develop those guys. Malik Monk, a guy who was there. Who's the kid that went to? Oh my God, the kid that's in Charlotte now? I think he went from OKC. Another guy that I liked. His name escapes me right now, but Charlotte has a tendency to do that. So we managed to sneak him and get him on a two-way roster. Raj, he's quick. He navigates that pick and roll really well. He's very capable of making the passes that you want out of that pick and roll. Roger, he's also very capable of scoring out of the pick and roll. He was playing yesterday like he was trying to facilitate for his teammates, and I caught myself on the playback multiple times for the folks that were there. I was just like, Nick, shoot the ball. Like, bro, if nobody else has been able to score the ball, it's okay. Just shoot it. And I understand he's doing that because he wants to stay, be a team player. But I think he's, was he 21, Raj? Like, he has a lot of room to grow, and he has a lot of natural talent. So I would like to, George, Trey Mann. That's who I was thinking about. Who's in Charlotte now. But I like him, dude. What did you see from him in that stint that he ran?
Yeah, it was tough because again, as I was, we'll get into the comment here. I just Bronny and Dalton.
Let's try.
But it just looked like a smooth operator on the pick and roll. Again, I'm not too familiar with his game, so I haven't watched him enough to kind of have a full picture on him. But I'm excited to watch that guy in South Bay in the G League. Kind of learn his game, along with hopefully Adu Tierra. We'll see if he's kind of will be ready to play during that as well. But I just want to get your thoughts. You're a guy that liked him a lot, so I'll see. He ran some ball screens pretty well. I thought he moved pretty well. I thought he had some mid-range shots that he didn't take. Could have probably pulled up a few times.
And I was just like, no, dude, shoot the ball. Like, just shoot it. Like, it's such a shot.
Is he the guy that was like looked like AI? Allen Iverson.
No, that was Trey Mann. That was Trey Mann.
Oh, that was Trey Mann. Okay.
He was doing the whole thing. Trey's also good. If you remember, Trey was the guy that I was telling you that if OKC lets him go, the Lakers need to try and grab this kid, because I was like, Trey Mann's going to be really good, and we really need a 6-man scorer, and Trey Mann's an all-natural scorer. And then he goes to Charlotte, and everybody's just like, oh my God, this is the greatest scorer ever. I was like, man, why can't we get these guys? But Nick is another guy who's really good, has a lot of talent. Only knock on first of all, he's super fast. He's really fast with the ball in his hands. The only knock on him probably is he has a slight build. He's like thin, so you're not going to get. So he can navigate screens defensively, but if somebody tries to bully him physically when he's on the defensive end, it could get shaky for him in that regards. But he is. I like him. I like him a lot as a prospect, especially like his ceiling. I don't know if it's a starter in this league is a ceiling for him, but I think his ceiling as being like the first guard off the bench is very, very possible for a guy like him. And like I say, he's 21, has a lot of room to grow. So we can.
Lakers obviously threw him a 2-way, which is high regard. Maybe there's some competition to grab him as well. So but
you want to hit this question, Raj?
Let's do it.
All right, shout out. I mean, we got to hit the question because shout out to Arthur for the $5 super chat. We appreciate you, Arthur. We appreciate all the folks that are also part of the Detailers Club supporting the pod. Arthur's question, Raj, is what are thoughts on Bronny? And this is Arthur's comment. Bronny looks bad. He doesn't look as nervous, but his shot still looks bad. And then I think he's put the same thing twice, but basically saying,
echoed the point.
Brian didn't have a very good shooting game. We've watched him have a lot of confidence in the summer league with just his ability to navigate the ball. You had a kind of conversation with Bronny. I remember you telling me about where you're talking to him about him developing his off-ball skills. And he mentioned to you that, he's working on his on-ball skills too as well.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned lightly, we don't have to get into it deeply. You mentioned the whole Dalton thing. I know I saw you tweet last night that you wanted Dalton to get more reps, to do more.
I want him to take the Austin role with that bench unit,
Yeah. But. And, he had a rough night last night too as well. Dalton did. But Bronny was letting it fly last night. He wasn't shy about shooting the ball. I was joking on the playback. There was a couple times where I was like, Bronny, you don't have to shoot this one. He had one where the ball got kicked out to him. I think it was late in the game with the South Bay unit. And he was like wide open, and he passed it. He swung it right to the corner to Dalton, and Dalton hit the 3. And I was just like, all right, good. Like, we don't have to force the shot. But what are your thoughts? What do you think about Arthur's question about what his shot looks like?
It's funny because I think Bronny's a better passer than he or anyone gives himself credit for. Like, if you go back and watch, he had some nice pocket passes, the skip pass you're talking about. He can read, like, he's getting better at reading a defense. He improved tremendously at the G League level. But this is the question, right? And this is why I asked him that of, do you see yourself? Like, do you have a role envisioned for yourself? And he put it very clearly to me, and I don't think anything's changed from summer league to now. that I'm an on-ball guy. And so when you're that, these are the shots you have to take. I do think it's good for him that Vinay, you could really, as a guy who's watched a ton of Bronny in different places.
Yes. You are the Bronny
The
expert, Raj. I'm deferring to you, bro. You're the one who's doing the
Yeah,
grind and watching him in South Bay.
yeah, and so it feels like the LeBron Sun stuff shine has really come off to where he can just be a basketball player, a good or bad basketball player, but one nonetheless, right? It's no longer like the crowd doesn't. I don't know if you remember last year, someone in the media pointed out to me that we played in Palm Springs last year, and that was actually the first time LeBron and Bronny played together. Was the first preseason game in Palm Springs, and there was obviously a wild crowd for that. And this time, Bronny touches the ball, and it's like any other player touches the ball, right? It's not some huge, crazy scream for a guy that's not in an NBA rotation. But yeah, did not play well. I thought again he was aggressive. Now, is this just a makes or miss thing? Don't know. One game took 13 shots, I believe, or 12 shots, one for 12 from the field. I thought they were shots that he takes in the G League.
Yeah.
These are shots that he works on. Should he be taking these shots? It's a different question altogether, but these are the shots that he works on and believes is his role. And so I think people kind of have to get used to that. I think Bronny as a contributor this year would be much more like, can you stay in front of your guy and give ball pressure as the athlete you are? But that's not the role that he envisions himself. And that's the one he's playing. So this is kind of looks like, yeah, he didn't shoot well. Gotta see how he plays as the preseason goes. And yeah, I don't know what they're doing with him. I have no idea if he's.
Yeah. I was going to ask the question of what your thoughts. I don't want you to answer it. I'm just going to ask the question out loud. I don't know what the purpose of giving Bronny this many on-ball reps in preseason is when you have guys on the floor that are going to be part of the rotation. So I'm just going to say this. We're going to save this for a different discussion because I want to see if they do it again in the preseason for the Warriors. I know there's a bunch of guys that were out, but it's not like we're going to get on-ball reps for Smart or for Gabe. So I am
he may continue to have it. He may continue to get the reps. Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious as to why we have so many on-ball reps for Bronny, but we don't have those reps for Dalton, because it didn't seem like we called much for Dalton, if anything at all. And there may be a political aspect to it. There might be something else going on behind the scenes, but it's not concerning, but because it's just preseason. But I'm confused because I'm like, Bronny's probably not going to be playing serious minutes, if minutes at all, right now, because they're not going to put him in that position to have that kind of pressure, in my mind. So just thinking out loud, I don't know what the purpose of giving him all these reps is in preseason when you have a guy, a first round pick, that we need to see if this guy can play, if he can contribute or find his rhythm. So that's just something in the back of my mind.
Yeah, don't want to go too long with this, but I guess you were, just putting this question out to the universe, and I guess the universe responds, right? As should Dalton have to have things called for him in a unit with 3 exhibited 10 guys and a two-way guy and Bronny, right? Dalton never stepped foot in the G League. Dalton is an NBA. Dalton has an extreme amount of NBA reps. He's played in a bunch of NBA games. He should be very comfortable against NBA defenses, especially preseason ones. This was the summer league conversation all over again, right? You don't, like me and you don't like to psychoanalyze players and get into their mental space.
For sure.
That's not really fair. A lot of people try to, again, I know it was in jest. TLR was asking me, ask what happened to Dalton since the trade. That's not really a question I can throw out there.
Shout out to our guy, the Lakers review. Great guy.
Yes. But it's interesting to watch Dalton. Just he wears the confidence on his sleeve and is very much missing. And so that's something Lakers are going to have to try to get back in some capacity, whether they want to keep him or not. There's a level that I think Dalton is needed from a shooting explosive aspect that the team is missing. But a lot of time left. Vinay, we got 5 more preseason games, 5 more rev up the engine games before we get to the real thing.
Yes, absolutely. Raj, I would like to rapid fire through our Detailers Club questions, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
These are questions for the folks that don't know. Detailers Club is your way of supporting Lakers Detailed. If you'd like, all you do is go to YouTube, and for $3 a month, you're basically supporting the pod. The additional perk that you get is you get added to the Lakers Detailed Discord, which is where I have regular conversations. Raj, when he has the ability to, on his busy schedule, jumps in on conversations, and he's able, and we talk about whatever's on the timeline. It is much more unfiltered. We don't have to be as PC as we are on the pod, and we can have really frank conversations. So you're always welcome to do that, and we appreciate all the folks. Even if you're not part of the Detailers Club, we appreciate all the folks that like, share, subscribe, whatever you guys do with the pod. It goes a long way. So let's hit some of these quick questions. Rel from Detailers Club, he was asking a question. I saw a very interesting thing I saw on the timeline. He's asking, JJ said that the Suns are ahead of them as far as scheme-wise, referring to him. What did you think of that comment? It doesn't have to be too deep, but what did you think about that? He's basically saying they had like a head start. They knew what they were, but we don't. Well, what did you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, his context of it was they've been in the gym since the beginning of September. So they've had all their guys in the gym, while the Lakers have people, kind of in and out. And also their guys aren't healthy. And the Suns, I believe, have everyone except Jalen Green, who, Vinay, we can't get into this now, but they might be better without Jalen Green. But in any case, so that's what I took from it. People took it as a shot, or like some negative, super negative thing. I didn't see it that way. I think JJ is just pointing out like they were what we were last year, right? JJ's like we had everyone in the gym very early because the whole team basically returned, and so they were able to kind of have a head start on stuff. Now, that's not an excuse. Doesn't mean you come out and be lackadaisical in coverages and anything like that. I don't think JJ meant it that way, but I didn't take it as a big deal or a big quote. Did you?
No, I didn't think much of it. It was a little weird because you're basically saying that other teams, it sounds like you're saying that other teams are more serious about preparing for the season than the Lakers were, which is like more of like a, what is JJ doing? Because it sounds like it can be interpreted that way.
Sure.
Is the way, if I want to find a bad way to spin that, that's the way I would spin it. But I didn't think anything of it. Like this is like,
I mean, that's a brand new coaching staff, right? And so usually those type of teams, they want to build a winning. It's like the new coach usually coaches summer league as well, right? Because they're just trying to get as many wins under the belt as possible before. So that's
full court pressing in the first preseason game. I was like, all right, this is.
You got Dylan Brooks out there, man. This is game 7. This is game 7 of the finals. This is Dylan Brooks. Are you kidding me? Against a LeBron team, he's got LeBron on the sidelines. Man,
you saw how he was defending Bronny, like his legacy was on the line. I'm like, bro, you can chill on the kid, bro. He's not like, just let him take the shot. Y'all are up like 25, bro. You don't have to defend him like this. But anyways, Dylan's a special guy, so we'll put it that way. All right, so Hovey has another question from Detailers Club. Or actually, let me get to George's question. George had a question in Detailers Club. He mentions that on both Lakers Nation and I think on Jovan's pod, there was a mention of a lot of over dribbling when Austin was off the court. And George feels that he felt that maybe guys were turning down shots when they couldn't just create easy, wide open ones. Did we see that as well? I will agree. I think there was some over dribbling.
Yeah,
I think it might have to do with the fact that they're running a lot of pick and roll with Bronny, and I think Bronny's still learning that aspect of his game, and that's why that happened a little bit.
It's Bronny, it's Nick Smith Jr., right? As much as you like Nick Smith Jr., and I think he's a fine prospect, the drop from Austin Reeves to the next guard running any type of action is pretty steep when obviously you don't have who we have healthy. So yeah, for sure. I thought the offense was just extremely wild for a lot of this night, and I think that's why the team scored what it scored, right? We were down, I think, like 18-20 very early. I think we were down 32-15 or something like that. Once Austin came out of the game, the offense cratered as expected. But yeah, there's nothing that was run with any type of synergy once Austin came off the floor, which
again, like when everybody's healthy, I think that won't be the case. Austin will be the secondary guy, will be much more concise. Hovey asked the question. This is a very deep philosophical question. Which I have a lot of thoughts about, but I'm not going to get too deep into it. His question is basically, can you guys provide your opinions on how reactionary basketball fans are in a vacuum these days? Let's just talk about Laker fans.
Okay.
One thing I think Raj and I will both agree about is we can't tell you how to fan. Like we can never tell a fan you don't feel this way or you should feel this way. You don't feel it. The whole reason for this pod is because Raj and I feel the same on many things, and we also disagree on things too as well. But we can have these discussions and make jokes about players or make jokes about each other's opinions and whatnot, and we can do it in a way that, you know, it doesn't result in us, you know, like on Twitter insulting each other personally or having a bunch of ego clashes. Oh, your opinion's better than mine, that sort of stuff. And I think that's what makes basketball such a fun sport, any sport, fun to talk about. But the reactionary Laker fans, I think, Raj, there is a subsection of fans. I think there are fans who genuinely love basketball, Lakers basketball, and they want to see the team be good, and they want the players to play good, and they get upset when certain players play bad, and that sort of thing. I think that's like the majority of Laker fans. I think they just want the team to be good and the players to play well, and they get upset when the players don't play well or don't do their jobs, whatever the case is. But I think there's a more vocal minority of Laker fans, Laker accounts, Laker content creators, Lakers, whatever you want to call them, a subsection of this Lakers fan base that their goal is to be reactionary, to crash out every time something bad happens, to say that a player sucks when they make one small mistake, to say a guy is a bum, a failure, a trash, especially the negative stuff. I think there's a section of fans that does that because honestly, this app incentivizes that. Like it incentivizes posting people's lowlights. It incentivizes like people saying like really, really crazy stuff about players that might not even be what's happening. Like I've seen people post out of context clips of a player like missing stuff, like missing a player or making a mistake that might not have, like they might have had like 30 points in that game, but just that one low light gets shared. So the perception, because not everybody's watching Laker games all the time, even though they love to give opinions about Laker games. And that low light carries, you know, it goes viral because people want to laugh at the player or whatever it is, blah, blah. So I think it's not a matter of reactionary and not reactionary, to answer Hovey's question, my opinion. I just think that there's people who have made it their entire personality on social media to be reactionary, and everything they do is going to be for that. So if tomorrow the Lakers are doing really well and everybody's happy, those reactionary accounts are going to be super happy. But if the Lakers are doing terrible, they're going to take it right to the extreme in the opposite direction to get those likes and whatnot. So, you know, it is what it is. You can't tell people how to fan. You can't control it. My suggestion, Raj, is to mute and block, because if you do that, it cleans up your timeline really fast.
Yeah, that's what Vinay does. But no, I like, again, I let fans do they want it. To me, this isn't really a I know he's asking in a basketball sense, but this is a worldwide sense as well. This is just how social media works. I mean, this is, you know, I mean, it feeds, people usually feed into what is engaged with, and so if negative stuff is engaging, then it's going to be continued to be, it's going to be continued to put out there. It's just how it works. It's on the consumer. I don't like to call them consumers, but whatever, whoever's viewing is kind of controlling what the content is, right? And so that's how the world works, not just basketball, any endeavor in this type of social media type of, where people are posting their thoughts and all this stuff. And I think that's what makes, I think Lakers, for in totality, I think we have a beautiful community that is able to watch games together. And I think there's a kind of a bevy of really smart and insightful, entertaining and funny, and, you know, and like people who do numbers and people who do film and people do entertainment, and people like, I think the Lakers have a ton of that at a place where I don't think people appreciate. When you go to other teams, a lot of people tell me, just other content creators of other teams, they go, man, you guys have so many, like, you know, people like to.
For the folks watching the stream, I've jokingly told Raj multiple times, we should just go do this for another team and see what happens, because I'm pretty sure we'll get credentialed and become like the guys in the first row, able to ask players questions, because the Lakers fan base is so big. It's there's so many other people, and I was just like, huge. I wonder what would it look like if we went somewhere else and did this.
Yeah, it's a massive community, and just a lot of smart people. So yeah, I mean, there's people who post different things that I disagree with and all that, but I think in totality we're in a pretty good spot, and we'll see how the season goes. But yeah, it's just, that's the world, right? Every fan base has some negativity. You can go to any big general brand. Cowboys, I'm learning, are a very big brand, and so I'm sure they have people who negatively post about whoever their player is that that's loved. So
Yeah.
I think this is just a worldwide thing, and it's part of sports and engaging with sports. It's a thing you deal with, and you can kind of you get to choose who you interact with and who you engage with, and so
Yes.
that's on you.
And to replug, if you like less reactionary stuff, come and join Detailers Club. It's a nice place to have normal conversations. We don't talk about just the Lakers; we talk about all NBA stuff. So it's just a nice community of people where we share stuff that we see, even opinions that we see on the timeline, and then we discuss in like a normal human being manner about what it is. Last question, Raj, I've got for you. This one is from Shell. Shell asks, where'd he go? Okay. Can you guys share your thoughts on LeBron and what his mindset approach is going to be this season? Does it seem different from last season? Does he plan to embrace the 1B role? He also added, feel free to add any conspiracy theories as well.
Yeah, I'll leave that up for you. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I think he's coming at it differently from a rest standpoint. I think it's interesting that it's already worded as it's coming from LeBron's camp to, hey, we're taking it easy, we're taking it slow, we're not rushing into things. Billy Mack on the broadcast mentioned that don't expect LeBron to play much in the preseason,
Yes.
which I thought was interesting, kind of revealing that information now with 5 games left. But from that standpoint, I think it's different. But I mean, who knows? No games will be played for a while, I'm guessing, from LeBron, and don't really know how the basketball is. He's a guy who's 41. It's just uncharted territory. I'm interested what it looks like, but I think he understands where he's at, the situation he's in, and the kind of chance he has to win one more with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and the team they have. So I think he's going to come in with a winning mind state. But it is interesting from a load management standpoint. Like, this is the first ever Vinay he's come in and go, yeah, I need to take it slow. And
Yes.
I find that super, super fascinating, and how the Lakers
Yes.
kind of respond to that.
Yeah. I think he's coming in with a mentality. I'm with you. I think he wants to win. I don't think that thirst to win in a Lakers jersey is gone. I think what LeBron is, if there's anything, LeBron exemplifies winning. Like he wants to win. He's not one of those guys. I think he's openly said multiple times, like, he believes in the basketball gods. Like, he's not going to cheat the game in order to just do whatever he wants. So I do believe that wholeheartedly, that he's like that. I do think he's probably managing himself, honestly, dude. Like, it's like you say, he's 41. He had the MCL sprain, or he had like that knee sprain that he played through in the Minnesota series. Again, 41, your body doesn't heal from that Minnesota series to now. It doesn't mean his knee's completely healed up. As me, myself, I've torn my ACL, both my ACLs before. Your knees never feel the same when you have a knee injury. LeBron has been a model of health for a long time. But that groin issue keeps coming up over and over again. So I think he's just probably doesn't want to add extra miles on his body if he really doesn't have to. So I think his mentality is going to be the same. I think he's just going to be very hyper aware of where his body is at. You and I have always talked about what his end game is going to look like, retirement. And I think I've said it openly before, and I know I've said it to you. The last thing I want is for him to have his season ended because of an injury. Yeah. Like, his career ended because of an injury. I want him to be able to, like, get the hero's ending. You know what I mean? And so if he has to kind of be careful with his body in order to do that, I think I'm okay with that. And look, honestly, Luka's here, Austin's here. We added DeAndre. Like, we do have, and we still have Rui. Like, we still have a lot of offensive guys that can carry some of that offensive load for him. So I'm okay with that. But I think he'll be locked in. We might get some rusty LeBron to start off October, November. But I think he'll ramp his way up, and I think he's earned that, honestly.
Sure. The question is, can the Lakers survive that? That's what I'm interested in.
That'll be the question.
We're already at a interesting place talent wise. Where Ayton's so important. I think LeBron's extremely important. I don't think there's getting around. LeBron is extremely vital to this team defensively, like extremely vital. I think they need him, maybe even more than on the offensive end. But we'll see. Again, uncharted territory. No one's been this good this long. Year 23 is just something that, for a guy to have this role on that team at this age, unheard of. But yeah, LeBron looks committed. He was at the game last night at the end of the bench, taking it in along with Luca. Both of them were on the side, but yeah, hopefully he suits up in some of these games. Maybe in Vegas we get a LeBron, preseason debut. We'll see if that's the case. But until then, we don't know.
Yeah, Raj, any last thoughts before I let the folks go?
No, I think that's it, man. We have another game tomorrow. And then the Lakers have a week off, which is really strange. So it's a very strange preseason schedule. But we're back in gear, man.
Yeah, we're back at it. Lakers preseason game 2 is in the Bay Area. They're going to take on the Warriors. So we'll see if the Warriors come out try-harding like the Suns did in our first preseason game. It is Lakers Warriors, so you never, there's always some funny stuff that happens. But so no stream tomorrow, Sunday night. We did our stream tonight, cover the bases. We'll figure out. Now that the season's back, we'll probably increase the frequency of some of our live streams as our schedules allow, outside of just our normal Sunday night streams that we do. But as always, folks, we appreciate everybody who was able to join us tonight on Saturday night. Lakers are back. Preseason is back. Our guys are gradually getting to it, getting their reps up. I'm very excited. I know Raj is very excited. We're looking forward to everything. Like I mentioned before, if you'd like to join Detailers Club, you can do that over on the YouTube channel. And then just message me on Twitter. Let me know that you joined, and I'll add you to the Discord. And you can enjoy Lakers basketball with us on a daily basis, or basketball with us on a daily basis. But as always, like, share, subscribe, whatever you do. Tell your friends, whatever it is. We appreciate everybody that's able to tune in with us and enjoy Lakers basketball with us and takes time out of their day to listen to us too as well. So wherever you are and wherever you listen to this to, day or night, we hope you're having a wonderful day. And if nothing else, we'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.
Peace.